Hello everyone, welcome to Primitive Videos. My name is Nana Bedu. When you see me in town, just call me Kelsey. Alright, so this platform provides nothing but entertainment news, trends with regards to social, political, sports, and entertainment. Let me be your explainer. A story that has been in the news for a couple of days now, and it's with regards to the National Cathedral Buhar. So let me give you a brief background about this National Cathedral thing. As part of our President, Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he made a promise to his God that he will build him a place of worship, and that's a National Cathedral. Wanting his aspiration to come to as a president, so he wants to build God a place of worship, and that is a National Cathedral. And so he met a couple of leadership of our land, the Christian Council, and asked them to help him, actualize his dream and his promise to God. So what happened was that there were terms and conditions. The state was to provide the land and some seed money, and then the Christian Council came together that they were going to help contribute and raise funds for the project to actually actualize. All right, so they started, and then they had to allocate a site for the project, just as it has been their agreement that the president will provide a site. So they had to demolish some buildings that actually residents were in. It was a place for judges and some prominent people. They had to demolish those buildings to pave way for the project to be constructed. All right. So there was some seed money that were raised, and then according to some school of thought, they believe that Ghana is not in looking at our economic crisis, the increasing rises and what have you. We are not in any form of good stance to construct a national cathedral. Some revelations in recent times that there were some taxpayers' money that was allocated to a certain project and what have you, that the seed money was being raised for. All right, so along the line, they paid some amount of money, they paid some monies, awarded some contracts to some people, some cluster of people for the project to commence. Interestingly, some monies has been allocated to some projects, some contractors that people think that it hasn't really been utilized well. Looking at the sum of money that has gone into the projects now, that is not, we've not had value for money, yeah. So there's been some concerns, and now to the main story. If this is your first time of chancing on my channel, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, and share. Thank you. All right, so this whole thing is so hilarious. Okay, so the summary of the whole Kusi Boateng, Gyamfi'S, Honorable OKUDZETO Ablakwa, the summary of all of it is that Mr. Ablakwa has established that Mr. Kwabena Gyamfi'S is the same as Reverend Kusi Boateng, the same person. He has also established that he has two terms, two different professions, two addresses. He has two mothers, that is Gyamfi'S and Agnes Atta, on all of the documents he provided. He established that he has two dates of birth, 30th December 1969 and the other 7th September 1971. He also established that he has two passports, an ordinary passport, the normal one, and the other is a diplomatic passport which was issued to him recently by the government of Ghana, and he provided the passport numbers respectively. So the issue of the conflict of interest Mr. Ablakwa was trying to establish was that the principal mandate of JNS was for talent and skills development. So they don't have any capacity to to be awarded a contract to produce anything. JNS, which happens to belong to Mr. Kwabena Gyamfi. And if they issued a contract to him, they paid any money to him based on a cathedral thing, then it means that it's a conflict of interest because Reverend Kusi Boateng is part of the board of directors. So if they award a contract to him, then it becomes a conflict. But another revelation he made was that he said there was a whooping some amount of 3.5 million cedis that was paid to JNS Limited. He also brought a document that revealed that Mr. Kusi Boateng was awarded a contract of 3.5 million to supply COVID towers, paper towers. 3.5 million Ghana cedi for paper towels, and he queried if indeed he doubted if those towels were actually supplied just as it was supposed to have been supplied, and he said that the National Cathedral paid Kusi Boateng's account JNS. They paid him 2.6 million Ghana cedis, and he has to refund that money because he doesn't know why they have to pay him that amount of money. For what work did he do? Did he construct? Was there any architectural work he constructed, or he provided any construction services that he ought to be paid that amount of money? So National Cathedral issued a statement, and the statement he issued was to refute the claim that Kusi Boateng was actually paid the 2.6 million Ghana cedis, and they stated their reason to be that Mr. Kusi Boateng was rather the one who gave a loan to the National Cathedral in times when they needed money to finance the project, when they didn't have money to continue the project. So they had to find a way to get money, and Mr. Kusi Boateng benevolently offered a helping hand and then offered them 2.6 million Ghana cedis. The 2.6 million Ghana cedis was issued right after 3.5 million Ghana cedis hit the account of JNS to be the funds for the supply of paper towels during the COVID era. And so the money hit the account on 23rd August 2021 to controller's account with the suite code CODGGHAC on 23rd August. 4 days later, 24th August 2021, the money supposedly was funded into the account of the National Cathedral to commence the project because they didn't have money. And then the National Cathedral has to refund the money on September 8, 2021. So they issued a statement that all those brouhaha going on, all the assertions that people are trying to instigate against them were all false, and they were determined of constructing the project just as they had promised that they were going to help the president to finance the project and then make sure they actualize the project. So they went on to continue the project. And then Mr. Ablakwa, after seeing this, actually had another concern, in that it's impossible an individual would have a different thing. No, before that, Mr. Ablakwa had filed a case with SHRAJ to investigate the matter concerning the conflict of interest on the award of contract and stuff like that. So actually what triggered again was that Mr. Ablakwa had to pursue the case of the double identity, which it is the mandate of GRA to see to it that everybody must have a unique number and nobody is actually supposed to act in any dual capacity or have a different identity or two identities of the same person. So he actually wrote to NIA to confirm, and NIA duly confirmed that they issued the National Identification Authority card in the name of Kwabena Gyamfi and not Victor Kusi Boateng. They don't have any document, they don't have any documentation, they don't have any ID card that bears the name Reverend Kusi Boateng. And about the GRA thing, they are yet to confirm. The GRA is yet to confirm what Mr. Ablakwa has brought out about and providing all sorts of evidences to prove that Mr. Gyamfi is the same as Mr. Kusi Boateng with two different things. All his documents that he provided, his documents for the corporation of the Dunamis Insurance Brokers on 16 January 2023. He provided a tin, and the tin was P0006272441X in the name of Dr. Kwabena Gyamfi, and he also provided a different tin for subsequent registration of documents. Yeah, so the whole thing is centered on that particular sphere. So after National Cathedral has issued a statement, Mr. Gyamfi had the zeal to also come out to issue a statement that Mr. Ablakwa has been given false information about him and speculating defamatory statements about him. And he knows that the case has been taken to Shraj, and so he will cooperate to Shraj. And after everything is, dealt with, he will take redress. It means that he will take legal actions against Mr. Ablakwa for defaming him, for his defamatory statements and all of that. So Mr. Ablakwa went on to reveal more information, more secrets, more documentations he has actually gathered with regards to his wanting to find out more. After Mr. Kusi Boateng, Reverend Kusi Boateng has issued a statement. He sarcastically made a statement that he's waiting for Kwabena Gyamfi to also issue a statement, and that's on a lighter note. But he wrote to Ghana Revenue Authority and the Registrar General Department on, Reverend Kusi Boateng and Kwabena Gyamfi identity scandal. So he filed with them, charging them, and on their mandates that they are supposed to perform, he queries them on their mandates and asks that the various 10 Kusi Boateng provided to register his companies, such as Duna Production, Queries Consortium Limited, Chris Football Academy, LE Dunamis Media Limited, On Point, One Laundry Limited, Vibrant Generation Chapel Worldwide, LBG, Dunamis Worldwide, LBG, all under the 10 of P0025022682, and then he stated his other 10 that he has registered with other companies. That is L Dynamis Limited International, JNS Talent Center Limited, the 4B's Company Limited, Anibi Petroleum Limited, Great Speed Engineering and Construction Limited, New Wave FM Limited, Lloyd's General and Rex Limited, Dynamis Insurance Brokers Limited, all under the 10 P0006272441. The date for incorporation and all of that, he provided all of that. And so Mr. Ablakwa has really been keen on the issue, and he really wants to get to the root of the matter. But as it stands now, apart from the last time Reverend Kusi Boateng went to church to claim that when he's going to the tap and he doesn't, he doesn't expect that he sail through smoothly and there will be demons. He knows that there will be demons. He knows that there will be demons that will be fighting him, and it's one of those things. So the church should keep on praying for him, and definitely the Lord will vindicate him. He hasn't uttered any other statement again, but the subsequent revelations about Mr. Ablakwa, and all of those things has propelled the National Cathedral to come out with a statement with Duncan Williams, Bishop Duncan Williams and Bishop Eastwood Anaba. They have called for the suspension of the National Cathedral construction until independent audit is made. So they mentioned a number of things. They issued a statement, and their statement's quite a lengthy one, telling us the reason for the establishment of the National Cathedral, how it came about, and all of that. So I read a little. It says that it will be recalled that the National Cathedral project evolved as a vision for the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and it is to be developed in partnership with the state and the Ghanaian Christian community. The project is to construct a complex comprising a cathedral, Bible museum, and a Bible garden of Africa. The complex is to serve, among other things, as an interdenominational facility for the national prayer and worship, presidential inaugural services, state funerals, and national Thanksgiving services. It also includes a crypt for the nation. So that's basically the mandate of the cathedral to ensure its additional relevance to the churches and the nation. The board integrated additional elements to the National Cathedral project, including a Bible museum focusing on the Bible in Africa, a Bible garden with the trees, shrubs, and flowers of the Bible, an economic engine consisting of 10 revenue streams to ensure the economic viability of the project beyond its national religious function. The National Cathedral is being developed at a site for religious pilgrimage and tourism that will attract large numbers of tourists and research to Ghana annually to help boost the economy. So that's basically the purpose of the National Cathedral. But until then, they have suspended the projects. The major reasons for it says that quite regrettably, inadequate funding had brought the construction work on the project to a standstill. The major reasons for inadequate funding include A. The general misunderstanding that it is the state that is fully funding the construction of the National Cathedral, and that's with the challenging economic atmosphere in the country, this is misplaced. And B. The general impression being created that the National Cathedral project is not being executed with the expected high Christian standards of integrity, transparency, and accountability. And it says that in response to this development, the board of the National Cathedral of Ghana at its meeting on January 23rd, 2023, made the following decisions. And it says that the board is already in discussion to engage Deloitte, which accepted to be the auditors when the National Cathedral was registered, to commence the normal statutory audits. In addition, the project submitted all relevant documents on the project to Parliament in December 2022, that if Parliament so desires, it may set up a commission to appoint an independent audit to review all issues concerning the award of contract, procurement, construction of work, and financial operations of the National Cathedral project so far. It goes on to say that the Commission of Human Rights and Administrative Justice, which is a constitutionally mandated body to investigate matters of procurement and accountability in such projects, has also made the board a respondent in its investigation into the operation of the National Cathedral project. So the board will cooperate fully with SRAJ and its work. It is in hope and trust to the board of the National Cathedral of Ghana that once these nagging issues are satisfactorily dealt with, the public interest and confidence in the project will be restored and rekindled to enable the citizenry to contribute generously to complete the cathedral to the glory of God. So that was the revelation by the National Cathedral. So the latest development about the Ablakwa and Kusi Boateng, Reverend Kusi Boateng's case is that Mr. Kusi Boateng has filed a suit against Mr. Honorable Ablakwa. Yeah, so let's get started. So Mr. Ablakwa has posted on his Twitter handle, that after my appearance on Metro TV, Good Morning Ghana show this morning, a gentleman supposedly from the court brought to the presence of Metro TV court document which suggests that one Kwabena Gyamfi, also claiming to have an alias as Victor Kusi Boateng, has secured a 10-day restraining order from February 1, 2023, seeking to prevent me from putting out further publications on Reverend Victor Kusi Boateng Kwabena conflict of interest and double identity scandal. I have promptly instructed my lawyers to take the necessary steps. Truth and justice shall not be buried. For God and country. Ghana first. All right. Does it mean that all right, let's go on to read the suit. In the Superior Court of Adjudicature, in the High Court of Justice, Human Rights Division 1 Accra, Kwabena Gyamfi versus Samuel OKUDZETO Ablakwa, the Attorney General, respondent, order for interim injunction. All right, so upon reading the affidavit of Kwabena Gyamfi, alias Victor Kusi Boateng, the applicant's hearing of plot number 26, Rumimasi Kumasi, filed on 30th January 2023 in support of motion ex parte for an order of interim injunction. It means that the man actually has an affidavit which mandates him to use both names concurrently. So to use either Kwabena Gyamfi or Victor Kusi Boateng concurrently. But the question here is, if you have an affidavit which guarantees you or mandates you to use your both names concurrently, do you also qualify to have two different dates of birth? Do you qualify to use two different TIN numbers? Do you qualify to file any documentation using two different mothers, names of two different mothers? Can you have passports? Can you possess passports with different dates of birth? I don't know, but let's box on. This is the law. I'm sure the law will take a course. Upon hearing the submission of Bobe Benson, ESQ, with him Emmanuel Yeboah Jan, ESQ, counsel for applicant hearing, it is hereby ordered that first respondent Samuel OKUDZETO Ablakwa is restrained from making further publication disclosures of private documents, correspondence, communication, and property belonging to the applicant. It is further ordered that this interim order will elapse after 10 days, given under my hand and seal of the High Court of Justice, Accra, this first day of February 2023. So Mr. Ablakwa, by law, he cannot say anything, he cannot publish anything that has to do with Reverend Kusi Boateng until the 10 days elapses. But he says he has engaged his lawyers, and his lawyers will take up the necessary steps. So we see how this whole issue will go. It looks like the issue is not ending anytime soon, because Mr. Reverend Kusi Boateng promised that he was going to seek redress after every other thing has gone on. So maybe this is the first process he has initiated in seeking redress. So let's go. Let's see if he has a case. We shall be updating you as and when this story brings about any developments. One will get to hear any other developing stories with regards to this particular one. We shall not hesitate to bring to your hearing and your view. All right. That's all. That will be all for now. Quite a lengthy one, but it all comes to an end. No matter what you do in this life, you make sure you assume professionalism. My boss will always say, professionalism is doing what you ought to do even when no one is watching. Until we meet again, stick and stay. Thank you.